here and do a lot of work up here, just a way to get away. I can't really make noise in my apartment in New York, so this is like a useful workspace for me.
Ah, still cool.
Yeah. Hey, I can't believe I'm doing uh, creative loafing.
Are you familiar with us?
Oh, sure. Are you kidding me? Creative loafing's been around forever.
Yeah. And we're still up and going after we're going on 40 years pretty soon here.
Yeah. No, I think some of our earliest interviews were with creative loafing.
Oh man.
I've got, I probably have some of I probably have some of the same answers prepared for you today.
Well, I hope not, but if you do, so be it.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get into it here. So this big tour is being described as a run of shows that will celebrate all corners of Giant's career, while also having a different album in the spotlight every night. What do you think the decision-making process is going to be for that album? Like, are you and John Linnell going to draw straws each show morning?
Yeah. Right now we've got 3 albums in rotation, and we're about to, I guess, have a fourth once we sort of get enough songs in the repertoire. We to do the spotlight stuff. We currently have 80 songs actively in the show, so it's we probably just added another half dozen for this leg. So there's just a lot of new songs and old songs coming into the show.
Cool.
And as to speak to like how it gets selected, we kind of just cycle them around. I mean, we'll do a Mink Carr show one night. We'll do a John Henry show the next night, and then an Apollo 18 the next night, and just try to keep it as different for the people who are coming back, as well as ourselves. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's really fun to put on a different show every night, like to have this amount of material under our belts and have that. I can sort of relate to like why people like doing repertory theater, because once you sort of have the muscle memory of doing a song and you're well rehearsed, you can do more than one show. It's possible to do more than one show, and being stuck to a set list, the same set list night after night, is one of the very real sort of traps of live performance.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It becomes very Springsteenian.
Oh, I don't know about that. I saw Bruce Springsteen at Madison Square Garden, and it was completely transformative. I have no idea. I mean, I'm sure he does a lot of the same things, from night to night. But my God, if I could have like a tenth of what he's got going on as a performer, I would be a very happy man.
Yeah, I guess it's similar. The reason I compare it is because he does 2 different sets like every single night, and that's what this tour reminds me of. That you're switching things around every night like he used to.
Oh! I see what you're saying. I thought you were talking about repetition.
No.
Oh yeah. He's. I mean, well, he's got a lot. He's got everything going on. I mean, it's to see him work an audience is like it's something else.
Absolutely, it's otherworldly.
Yeah, I mean, it's very weird to be able to rock a stadium, like that hard. It has like the energy of like a, I mean, I grew up in clubs with like new wave bands, punk rock bands, and there was definitely like an immediate energy to that kind of show. And to be able to kind of bottle that and scale it up to a stadium, it's pretty impressive.
It is. So the last time you were in St. Pete, 2 years ago, you guys were celebrating Flood, and of course, a pivotal part of that evening was the whole Stella portion. Can we expect any shenanigans like that on this run of shows?
Well, like a good card trick, I think we'll be keeping the Stalub portion of the show, in the mix, it makes a great sort of set one closer, set two opener. For now that it's kind of established what's going on, just to explain to people, we learned one of our songs from Flood, the song "Sapphire Bullets of Pure Love," backwards, to how to play it, or like sonically in reverse. And we actually we perform it and videotape it, and then flip the videotape and play that at the beginning of the second set. And that it's a really singular kind of thing. I mean, I don't know of I've never seen anybody do anything even close to what we're doing in the show. So it still feels like it's got a lot of juice in it. A lot of people who've never seen our show before, that's the part that really kind of blows them away. And as we say from the stage, we challenge other legacy acts to follow our lead. We want to see other people memorizing songs sonically in reverse. I think it'll be worthwhile.
Yeah, that's real. What made Bullets the best song to learn backwards anyway? Because I think you guys started doing that right before COVID hit.
Yeah, it was. Well, there were a few things that recommended it. First of all, it's short, but so it wouldn't be too much of an endurance test for the audience or the band. But also, it's really percussive, and percussive sounds are easier to reproduce in reverse. Like sounds don't translate the same way when you reverse them. So it's like sometimes held notes just sound sort of disoriented. So having something that sort of percolates, like Sapphire Bullets of Pure Love, it was a good. It was just a good vehicle for the idea.
All right, perfect. So going back in time a little bit here, I want to talk about your history a little bit.
Sure.
Obviously, you're part of the Left-Handed Guitarists Club, but when Giants started, and correct me if I'm wrong, left-handed guitars weren't as common as they may be now. You had McCartney, you had Hendrix, you had Dick Dale, and maybe a handful of others. So my question is, was your first guitar actually pre-built for lefties, or did you have to flip the strings like Hendrix did?
Oh no, I had right-handed guitars until the late '80s. And the people you're referencing, like Dick Dale and Jimi Hendrix and Paul McCartney, they played right-handed instruments a lot. Lefty instruments. I don't know. I guess there were some built custom, but there were definitely very few factory built lefties. I have a Japanese lefty Telecaster that was built in like 1986, 87, and that was, kind of. I mean, that might have been sort of early days for like mass quantities of lefty guitars, and it's a great instrument. I'm really grateful I still have it. Actually, I actually got a second one. I got a backup one because the first one got just totally demolished on the road.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it was my fault. I knew what I was doing.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't smash it. It just got. I mean, I think I probably did like 500 shows with it, and it got so thrashed from just the shenanigans I was doing with it. So it had to go to a farm.
A farm in upstate New York where all of our dead instruments are.
Yes, exactly.
Right on. Do you still own any albums from your youth? Because I heard you bought Propaganda by Sparks on release day.
Yeah, I owned a ton of albums. I mean, I have a record collection. I even have like a storage space so my house isn't overwhelmed by record albums. But compared to a lot of people, I think it's probably a pretty modest collection. Like if you do it by feet, I'm sort of staring at it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. I probably have like 30 feet of records, which is not a lot. I don't think like it's not a huge. But I've lost. when I was in college, I actually lost almost everything I owned. I got my apartment was burglarized, and so this is actually like sort of almost like my third set of records. I don't know if what records I have from my childhood. They'd only be the ones that I left at my parents' house when I went moved out. There were just a few of those. I think I have like the Beatles' "Hard Day's Night" soundtrack, but I don't. The Sparks album I had to buy again.
Oh man. Well, at least you got most of them back in one way or another.
Yeah, it's like I'm not like I'm not a collector of record albums in like the sense that like I have to own the thing that I'm thinking about. Like I'm very happy to have Spotify and be able to draw on that all the time. Like that's very satisfying to me. But there are a lot of obscure albums that I just enjoy digging in, and I'm always I'm as a music listener, I tend to be kind of obsessed about specific things, kind of listening to the same thing over and over again.
Sure. And you mentioned you don't really have much of a preferred format. That's what leads me into my next question. I've heard that you're kind of at the helm of trying to finally get the band's entire discography out onto vinyl. How is that journey going for you?
Well, it's a funny task because the early albums that were on vinyl are kind of the easiest ones to reproduce because all the artwork exists in the vinyl format. Getting stuff that was only came out on CD, finding ways to get the artwork scaled up is really kind of can be a chore. A lot of people don't have their films. A lot of people, these the various record companies we worked with. There was always this. I always wanted to get copies of things and dupes of things, so I could just have like a little file of it. And I mean, when you're a younger person, especially like if you're somebody in a band, you kind of get infantilized a little bit, like that people treat you like you're a baby, and that can be, that can feel like sometimes that can feel like you're nice in that you're being taken care of, but there's this other aspect to it where it's like when you sort of are suspicious that they're not quite as responsible as they seem. I am so grateful that I saved so many things from back then because having to sort of reproduce all this stuff, a lot of it just came right out of my my attic, and it's so the CDs are harder because they just don't have full size art, and we don't have the original art, and a lot of the art has been lost. Sometimes overseas record companies have the art, but it takes a lot of finagling to pull it together.
Right, I've heard about the artwork too. On this journey, do you think Long Tall Weekend is going to get a vinyl issue, or would you feel better keeping that in its digital-only format?
Oh, Long Tall Weekend. Well, it's funny because it was, even when it came out, it was kind of a odd release because it was sort of almost like a teaser to what was happening with Mink Carr. I don't know. I don't know what, like, there's no plan to bring that out as a vinyl release. And there's no plan to bring out Severe Tire Damage as a vinyl release either. These are we've done a lot of live projects and a lot of compilation projects, and it's really hard to sort of decide which ones are worthy of kind of putting into the canon. But I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it. Again, there's no. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
We got time.
Nothing but time.
Nothing but time, exactly. So you mentioned Mint Car a few seconds ago, and sorry to kind of take a deep turn here, but I want to get your thoughts about something with that record. Great album for sure, but considering its unfortunate release date, do you guys see that album in a different light than, say, the week before 9/11?
Wait, hold on a second. I'm confusing myself here. I've got to fact check myself on this. Just hold on. I'm gonna grab my computer here. When you said Long Tall Weekend, my mind completely went to severe tire damage, and then I felt like I was having an aneurysm. No, Long Tall Weekend. That is the E-Music. No, we've made a vinyl version of it. We actually released a vinyl version of it last year. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was completely chasing my own tail in my mind. Yeah, no, there's actually a beautiful new version of it that we put out last year on vinyl, and it was one of those ones that took a really long time actually. And we got Michael Kupperman, the guy who did all the artwork for the E-Music set, which was had a very deluxe and fantastic bunch of original art in the digital download version, and he reproduced the whole thing. So that's in the world. That's in the physical world. That's. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Severe Tire Damage, which is which was a live album that we did that had the song Dr. Worm on it.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I'm like a George Harrison in the anthology. I'm like reenacting his Revolver, Rubber Soul. I don't know, one of those albums.
Yeah.
You're just it seems so insensitive to not have fully memorized your catalog, but after 40 years, things get a little
It's hard after a while.
things get a little scrambled. But anyway, as you were saying.
No, you're good. So I know we're running out of time here, so I have a few more for you. You mentioned Mint Car earlier, and great record for sure, but considering its unfortunate release date, do you guys see that album in a different light than, say, the week before 9/11?
The thing about having a long career is you just, you do kind of see the bumps in the road. You live your life around the work that you're doing, and all sorts of things happen that are public, and all sorts of things happen that are private that kind of shade how you feel about different various things that various work that you might have done. I think the thing that was frustrating about Mint Car professionally is that we had worked so hard on it to try to create something that would be commercially viable. And listen, we're an unlikely band. We're not a natural fit on the radio, a natural fit in the popular culture. And, we're just as aware of that as anybody. And I think with Mint Car, we were trying, our career is very odd in a way because, we have had a lot of commercial success, a lot more commercial success than a band like us would typically have. With our sensibility and our sense of humor and the musicality of what we're doing, I think it's just it's very much a take it or leave it thing. And that's not the kind of music that ends up necessarily on the top of the charts. And so I think with Mint Car, we were trying to make an interesting album, but we were also trying to make songs that would, sound, be interesting to hear on the radio. And a song like Man It's So Loud in Here, that's, very much like a piece of electronica that is if you like electronica, you can enjoy that song just on its own terms, And there are other tracks on the record that are just Cyclops Rock is a very rockin' song. I don't know. It's we were kind of swinging for the rafters with that one, and I think it was frustrating to have sort of the rug pulled out of it right on that day. But it was a crummy day for everybody. So
Right. All right, last question before I'll let you go. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the album that you and Linnell are currently working on. Is there anything new you can tell us about that?
we are essentially done, unless we're not, and that's when it doesn't have a firm release date, and it doesn't have a cover. I can tell you both of those things are happening, but maybe there'll be some like last minute adjustments. It'll be out sometime relatively soon, and it's a very strong record. I'm into it, but again, it's like only time will tell.
Yeah, there's like a string section on there too, right?
There's a song with strings, and there's a bunch of songs with horns. It's like it's a very big production.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear it.
Oh, great!
Well,
Thanks so much.
of course. Thanks again for doing this for me, man. Stay warm up there, and when you get down to St. Pete, let me know if you want to go record shopping together or something.
Oh, my mom lives in the area, so I got a lot of hanging out with my mom to do. I got family time.
It's the important stuff.
Yeah, it is. But thanks for the invite. What's the record store to check out? I will be puttering around the downtown. What's the spot?
Well, if you're going to be in downtown, there are a couple really cool spots. One close to downtown is called Bananas Music. It's a retail store with, they claim they have 3 million records there. Different kinds of genres. There are two locations, actually. One's a warehouse and one's a retail store. And then the other one is a place called Daddy Cool Records.
Mm-hmm.
That one's a store. And then the other one is a place called Daddy Cool Records.
Mm-hmm.
That one's a little more smaller selection, and there are CDs in there, there are DVDs, and it feels a little bit off the record. It feels a little more constrictive than Bananas, if that makes sense in terms of its selection, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll check it out. Bananas.
Sure.
All right, cool.
Bananas in St. Pete.
Well, hey, thank you for your time.
Yeah, John, anytime, man.
All right, cool.
Thanks for yours.
Cheers.
Cheers. See you.
Da-da, da-da, da-da.